Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
Pokemon has a big lawsuit underway, but Cards Against Humanity has a better one. Magic the Gathering Commander takes a big hit, and the Cal Kestis saga is officially coming to an end. That's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I am your guild master, Ric Perry, and if I were a trading card, you want to keep me in a top loader.
And I am your guild master, Baron Kane, and if I was a trading card, I'd probably be banned by now.
Speaking of which, there has been a bit of a stir-up in the Magic Commander community.
A snafu, as it were?
Well, it depends on who you ask. And everybody seems to have their own opinion. So, for anyone who hasn't heard, and I'm assuming you don't know, because, you don't really follow Magic the Gathering. When it comes to Magic the Gathering, there's only one real format that I play, and it's become one of the most popular formats for Magic the Gathering. It's called Commander. And there have been 5 cards recently that got banned from Magic the Gathering Commander. 4 of which people are very upset about or very happy about, depending on who you ask. The 5 cards are Mana Crypt, Jeweled Lotus, Dockside Extortionist, Nadu Winged Wisdom, and Catastrophic Losses. Now, there's a lot of reasons that people are upset. There are a few reasons I find this funny. The stated reason for the ban is because this is supposed to be more of a casual format, and these particular cards were basically in everyone's deck, anyone's deck who could carry them, because they had a huge ramp. So, things you would normally do on turn 5 or 6, people are doing on turn 2 or 3, because of some of these cards. The funniest thing, I think, is there was a card on this list that's specifically printed for Commander because it's not usable in any other format. And that's Jeweled Lotus, which reads, sacrifice Jeweled Lotus, add 3 mana of any one color, spend this mana only to cast your Commander. So obviously, if it can only be used to cast your Commander, you can only use it in Commander, and now it's banned in Commander. So the card's completely useless. So let's get into this a little bit. First of all, my personal opinion is I could not give 2 fucks. I personally don't use any of these cards because I do think they're a little overpowered, and when I play for fun and for casual purposes. I'm not a competitive player. 2, even if I did want to play these cards, I would just play them because I play with my friends, and when it comes to ban lists and things like that, or playing with proxies, or all the things that are against the rules, as far as I'm concerned, this is our home game. We don't have to follow any of those rules. If it's fun, it's fun.
Right.
Which is honestly the point of the Commander format to begin with. A lot of people have feelings about this because a lot of these cards, because they're in everybody's Commander decks, have become very high in value. And a lot of people have put a lot of investment into some of these cards. And there are card shops that have, large quantities of these cards. And these cards, which were high value very recently, have now become next to worthless.
Sure.
And so people have taken a loss on their investment. So they're very upset. Which, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's how you play the investment game anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes you're going to take a loss.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been very upset with Wizards of the Coast over this, which means they just don't understand how Commander works.
Right.
Because Commander as a format was not created by Wizards of the Coast.
Correct.
It was created by just a committee of approximately 5 people, and that committee stays to be approximately 5 people, and that's where all of these rulings come from. So Wizards of the Coast has nothing to do with it.
Right.
Wizards of the Coast recently put out a set called Commander Masters that had a bunch of the staple cards for Commander and some of those popular cards for Commander. Every single one of these cards was in that set. So people are like, why would you print that set and then immediately ban those cards? Because they didn't ban the cards.
Mm-hmm. So, would you like to hear my opinion?
I would love to hear your opinion.
And if this upsets anybody, I don't care. I think that this is the funniest shit that has ever come out of Magic. Ever.
I agree. It's fucking hilarious.
It is fucking hilarious. All of these motherfuckers out there who are buying these fucking cards to win these games, a casual format, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
They are going out and buying up these expensive ass cards that the casual player could not afford.
Yep.
And they're trying to buy these cards and bring them into these fucking games. And they spent all of this money on it. Now it's worthless. Ha! 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 Fuck you. That's what I think. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah. To be fair, there is now CEDH, which is competitive Commander. Wizards is putting on tournaments and everything like that. And some people make money this way. And that's fine. But you can find a different way to build your deck and still be competitive.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you're relying on one fucking card, if you're relying on... You know what? If you were relying on the cards that some net deck made popular, you're not a good player. Oops, sorry. That's the truth. That's what that is.
The only one I could see somebody being like, okay, I need to completely rebuild my strategy is with Nadu Winged Wisdom, because that could be someone's commander. As a matter of fact, it was a pretty popular commander. So now, with a different commander, you probably have to rebuild your entire strategy, rebuild your entire deck. And you know what? If you're playing in the competitive scene, that sucks, but there's a reason it's banned. It was getting a little crazy.
Yep.
And the people who play casually and actually want to have fun with their friends weren't playing that card as their commander anyway.
Yeah.
People have theories on why these cards actually got banned, and I think a lot of them, once again, people don't understand how Commander works. Someone said that a lot of these cards, because they're so popular and so because they're so expensive, they were getting proxied a lot. So to cut out so many people who are proxying the cards, they cut out the most proxied cards. That way people would actually buy real cards instead of proxying them.
Okay.
But this committee doesn't give a fuck if you buy the cards or not. They don't make any money if you buy the cards. Yeah, it's not Wizards. I think whether or not it's intentional, the opposite is going to happen. I think a bunch of people who actually put money into these cards have turned around and been like, why would I put this much money into these cards if they're just going to turn around and get banned and then they're going to be worthless? I'll just print a proxy. And I think more proxies are going to end up being used, which is fine by me as far as I'm concerned. One, I don't care if you have a proxy, and that means less money in Wizards of the Coast pocket. So, fuck them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, feels so good. Obviously I've not been quiet about my distaste of Magic and the direction that it was, it's been going since it started.
Sure.
If you got the money, you win. So I'm very happy to see these people who put in all that money to get these cards to stomp people who are just casually playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy to see them lose money.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point of Commander as a format.
I would also like to point out that they probably bought singles.
Yeah.
And that means that money went to, more than likely, your friendly local gaming store.
Yep.
And y'all better not refund them.
No. Mm-mm. I mean, honestly, the only people I might be upset for, the only people I am sad for, is the people who own the friendly local game stores, who people have sold these cards to them.
Oh, yeah.
And now they have a large stock of these cards that they're not going to be able to make their money back on.
True. But at the same time, Magic is a piece of shit game. So, no offense to anybody that plays Magic.
Yeah, I will respectfully disagree. And it's because of the Commander format that I do like Magic the Gathering. And it's because you can be casual in Commander, and it's not normally pay to win. And like the banning of these cards has made it less pay to win.
I'll say this. When I say that this is a piece of shit game, I want to be very clear. It goes along with what other things I feel are pieces of shit. It comes down to the fandom and the people around it. Yes, generally, you got some great fans that, will stick with the spirit of what is intended, and that's great. But fandoms attract the worst fucking people.
Yeah.
And you can't get away from it. You can't.
And Commander has become the most popular format in Magic the Gathering.
Probably because it is casual, and it is winnable by some schmo off the street.
But it has, just like you said, become one of the biggest fandoms, so it has attracted some of the worst type of people.
Right.
The last big point I'll make on this is a lot of people have brought up Soul Ring, which is another card that does something similar to Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus, where it generates mana pretty quickly. I'll say the biggest reason Soul Ring probably didn't get banned, along with others, is one, it's nowhere close to expensive. You can get Soul Ring for pretty cheap because Soul Ring has been printed in every set, in every Universes Beyond. Every set that exists has its own Soul Ring. It's a very common card, and every single Commander Precon that exists has a copy of Soul Ring in it. And even though this committee is not Wizards of the Coast, they do have some dealings with Wizards of the Coast as far as since Wizards has specifically started printing Commander product. And I would imagine Wizards of the Coast would be pretty upset if all of a sudden every single Commander Precon was now illegal. But honestly, I use Soul Ring in my deck. I honestly don't know a single Commander player who doesn't use Soul Ring in their deck. It's a pretty common card.
Right.
So those are the two biggest reasons I don't think that card got banned. But yeah, just if you want to play the cards, play the cards. Just play them in casual because it is casual. Make sure your friends that you're playing with are cool with it. And if you were doing it because you could afford it and you were running the competitive tables with it, QQ more. But as long as we're on the topic of Cards Against Humanity has brought a case against Elon Musk.
Yay!
Look, hot take. Cards Against Humanity is a shit game. I don't like it. But the company that makes Cards Against Humanity is fantastic.
Yeah. I will say that the game is what you make it, and I think that the game definitely encourages some people to be the worst versions of themselves.
Yeah.
But this company is taking the money from those people and putting it to good use. And it's crazy. It's crazy the shit that they've done through the years with this money.
Yeah, I was just about to say, this is not the first awesome thing this company has done. And honestly, this particular action is piggybacking off of a different action. Originally, they had made it so there was a special little pack of cards that you could buy to add to your big deck for Cards Against Humanity. And they took the proceeds of that special little pack and used it to buy the smallest little piece of land right on the border between the United States and Mexico. And the biggest reason they did that was to make it so a wall between the US and Mexico border would become next to impossible because it would need to go through that land and they would not sell it. They would just own it and there was nothing that could be done about it. Which people have their own political views, but I think that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, people have their own political views, but the wall is wrong, and you are wrong for thinking it's right. So, that's my political.
Yes, agreed.
I'm getting less and less afraid of sharing my political views on this thing. I don't care. I just don't care anymore. Just get it all out of the way now, so if we get big and someone's like, "Oh, but what about?" It's like, hold on, it's not like we're Tenacious D.
You guys changed.
We're fine.
They went woke. We've always been woke. Shut the fuck up.
Right, and then like when we're like shilling Wizards of the Coast stuff, it's like, "Oh, he sold out." I'm like, no. If you listen to our podcast,
we said we would.
I always said I would. So I have a family, bitch. I didn't sell out. I'm buying in.
Right. And you know what? If you disagree with us, feel free to hate and listen to us over and over and over again, and leave as many comments as you want. We appreciate the engagement.
Oh man, the engagement is everything. I love it. So I couldn't really. I mean, you brought that up, but I guess I never really thought about it. But yeah, that same land that they bought to keep them from building the wall.
It's the only reason they own that land, and that's the only reason they still own that land, is because they're making sure that wall doesn't go up.
Correct. So apparently, SpaceX contractors entered the property, dumped enormous amount. I'll say I'm getting this from CNN Business as well. They dumped a whole bunch of gravel, and they brought generators to run equipment and lights, and they put it all on this land.
This private property, this company, just came in and dumped a bunch of crap on private property.
Correct. And they are, yep. And they are now suing for $15 million civil lawsuit, which $15 million, I'd be surprised if Musk doesn't settle out of court for that. But that's still, oh my God, I can't wait to see what they do with that $15 million.
Oh no, they've already said what they're going to do with that $15 million.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What's that?
So let me find the actual post by Cards Against Humanity. That way I can get the numbers correct. So what they have planned on doing, since the land was purchased by an investment of fans of the game, they still have a list of everyone who purchased that pack, whose money they used to buy that land.
Mm-hmm.
And if they get the full 15 million, that means if they divided it evenly between all the people who bought that pack, everyone would get $100.
Nice.
So that's exactly what they plan on doing, is sending everyone who purchased that pack $100.
That's fucking awesome.
And they have started a Twitter campaign that is telling all these people to tweet at Elon Musk and tell him that he owes them $100.
That's hilarious that they're doing it on Twitter. Yeah. I mean, granted, they're tweeting him directly, but the fact that they got it started on Twitter, it's like they are doing everything they can to slap him in the face, and I fucking love it.
With hashtag Elon owes me $100.
Right.
You can actually even go to ElonOwesYou100.com and find out all about the lawsuit and how to get your share if you're one of the original 150,000 subscribers to buy that pack and give that money to get that land. It's fucking great. It's like the best fucking troll of all time.
Absolutely. Which they're really good at.
A couple other things that, just because it's here and because I'm on the Cards Against Humanity website, a couple other things that Cards Against Humanity has done is they have used people's money to send people actual boxes of bullshit, bull feces.
Right.
They've been like, hey, buy this pack, send us your money, we'll send people actual boxes of bullshit. They have donated $500,000 of red state cash to the National Network of Abortion Funds.
Love it.
And they promised to just dig a really big hole in the ground, and to prove that they would do it, they just dug a big fucking hole in the ground. So basically they have a bunch of different examples of times when they have followed through on their promises and done, we're gonna do this stupid thing if you give us your money to do this stupid thing, and then they fucking did it. So I 100% believe that they're gonna go through with this lawsuit. They will get the money from the lawsuit. I don't see how Elon could possibly fucking win. And I think they're legitimately going to send $100 to every single one of these people who bought one of these packs. Which, hey, good investment.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Speaking of lawsuits.
This one's big. This one's big.
I also want to point out, I'm surprised it took them this long, but it looks like they had to do a little work to make it happen.
Yeah, so let's unpack this. I'm going to have to put my Nintendo fanboy aside for a minute. My Nintendo can do no wrong attitude needs to go away. Because Nintendo is currently suing the developers of Palworld for copyright infringement. Now, here's a few things that need to be unpacked. First is Pokemon just won a $15 million copyright lawsuit against a Chinese mobile game developer. According to NintendoLife.com, the game was called Pocket Monster Reissue, and this is just straight up plagiarism. Like, Palworld might be... People are saying that, like, oh, it's just like Pokemon. Pocket Monster Reissue was fucking Pokemon. Like, they used the same characters, they used the same Pokemon, like, they changed nothing. They just turned it into a mobile game. And so, of course, they won that particular lawsuit. But as soon as that lawsuit was over, they turned around and decided that they were going to sue Palworld for copyright infringement. Now, there's a couple things to unpack for this lawsuit here, because the biggest copyright, the biggest patent that is supposedly being infringed is one that Nintendo filed months after Palworld was already out. Which people are saying that Nintendo filed this patent just so that they could sue Palworld.
Which, I mean, I could see that. I could see Nintendo looking at Palworld and being like, we don't have enough yet. What do we need to do to sue these guys for really, kind of taking our vibe there?
Right. Which the thing is, you can't copyright, like, basic concepts, which is why Nintendo didn't have a case against Palworld before now. And here's where, in my opinion, this lawsuit gets really fucking dangerous. Because the patent that Nintendo filed was for a mechanic in the game. And the patent is basically just for throwing an object at an enemy in order to damage and or capture it.
Ah! Boy, Ark's in trouble.
The thing is, that's so fucking basic. That could be throwing a grenade.
Yeah.
In literally any game.
Yeah.
If Nintendo were to win this lawsuit, it sets a crazily dangerous precedent.
Very gross precedent.
It will end pretty much any video game that looks anything like another video game.
Yes.
And if you think about it, Nintendo's even being kind of hypocritical, because you look at some of Ubisoft's earlier games like Assassin's Creed, they invented like the tower mechanic, where you climb a tower, you sync with it, it fills out your map, it shows you the map of that area. And nearly every open world 3D game since then has done something similar.
Sure, because it's smart.
Even Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
One of Nintendo's games. And what this does, people do this because it's smart and because it lets them innovate. It lets them take this basic mechanic and they're like, this is a good mechanic. Here's what we can do with it to make an even better game. And people can keep building and building upon these ideas and be creative and innovate and create better games. You start shutting down basic mechanics behind certain developers that like, oh, okay, we made this mechanic, now no other developer can use this mechanic. That ends innovation for that mechanic.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they don't do that with board games and TTRPGs. It's, that you have that mechanic that is essentially like, you cannot copyright a mechanic, and then everybody can take that and just make awesome shit out of it.
Right. Now, if Nintendo were to lose this lawsuit, it would also result in the patent being repealed. which I think is really what needs to happen. Nintendo really needs to lose this lawsuit because the precedent, like I said, the precedent that we've set is just, it's terrible. It's dangerous is not the right word for it. There's got to be something stronger. Palworld themselves have come out regarding the lawsuit. I can go ahead and read what Pocket Pair, the developer of Palworld, said. I'm going to read it right off of IGN.
Okay.
And they said, "We have received a notice of this lawsuit and will begin the appropriate legal proceedings and investigations into the claims of the patent infringement. At this moment, we were unaware of the specific patents we were accused of infringing upon, and we have not been notified of such details." And that's because at the time, when the game was being made, the patent didn't fucking exist.
Right.
Pocket Pair is a small indie game company based in Tokyo. Our goal as a company has always been to create fun games. We will continue to pursue this goal because we know that our games bring joy to millions of gamers around the world. I'm going to stop reading right there because it's a couple more paragraphs of just, we're trying to make fun stuff. We didn't realize what we were doing was something we could get sued over. We're going to do our best to win this lawsuit, and we're going to do our best, whether we win or lose, to continue to make fun games. Fantastic. Great response. IGN also asked for a response from Nintendo after getting that response from Pocket Pair, and Nintendo decided not to say shit, which legally is probably the smart thing to do, but still.
Yeah. I will say that I don't really care much for Palworld. I do believe that they are blatantly ripping off Pokemon, but at the same time, I also kind of hope that Nintendo gets knocked down a peg as well. So if they could both lose in this situation, I think I'd be fine with that. But right now, I kind of hope that Nintendo takes the L.
I also don't like Palworld, but not because they're ripping off Pokemon. I think the fact that they're ripping off Pokemon, honestly, is fine. Because they're doing a lot of things with Pokemon that Nintendo refuses to do. And if a fan wants to play a Pokemon game that includes X and Y mechanics that Nintendo refuses to put in there, more power to them. That's exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about innovation on these mechanics. But the game is not for me. The mechanics that they've added are not ones that are attractive to me. I would rather just play the original Pokemon games, but that's the free market. But I also, as much of a Nintendo fanboy I am, the one thing I can acknowledge is the fact that they are way too litigious, way too quick to sue. I mean, I thought they needed to lose the case when they started shutting down Twitch streamers who were streaming their games.
Right.
Because they didn't want, footage of their games out there that they weren't making money on. So, am I going to stop buying Nintendo games either way? No, probably not. They make fun games. I like to play them. But I really do hope they lose this lawsuit. But speaking of these lawsuits, I think, personally, that Cards Against Humanity's case is so good that you can't beat it with a stick. But you know what's better than a stick?
Stroganoff?
Level Up Sabers.
Holy shit.
Could you use an awesome lightsaber for cosplay, dueling, or home decoration? Check out Level Up Sabers, the only lightsaber guaranteed better than a stick. And with lots of fairly priced options, including baselit and Xenopixel, you'll be able to find exactly what you're looking for without breaking the bank.
Every Level Up Saber comes equipped with color change, gesture controls, volume control, sound fonts, and flash on clash. With the baselit options being strong enough to duel with, and the Xenopixel options adding even more cool effects. To check them out and help Casters Guild, click our link in the description.
Okay, let's come right back into Star Wars, because I fucking can. The final chapter of the Star Wars Jedi games has been confirmed to be in development.
Wait, say that one more time.
The final chapter of the Star Wars Jedi games have been confirmed to be in development.
I think... I could be wrong. Oh, okay. So is that what they're called? They're
mostly
Star
just
Wars
because
Jedi. That's the name of the. Okay, because it's Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Okay.
Yeah, I just think it's because I don't think that Respawn, the developers of the game, are calling it that. I don't think they're calling it the Star Wars Jedi franchise. I think that's what most media outlets are calling it because they don't know what the fuck else to call it.
So the Cal Kestis saga is coming to a close.
Correct.
which I still think they horribly squandered that man.
Yeah,
he should have been in a fucking show or a movie by now.
Yeah, but I mean, with his saga coming to a close, and Feige working on that, I think it's Feige, right? Who's working on that big movie where like all the shows come together.
Is Feige doing that?
I don't know. I know somebody is. Favreau?
Favreau is the Star Wars guy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm getting my Disney F's mixed up.
Right. I also want to say that I think they got rid of who was the person that was heading the whole thing there for a bit?
I thought it was Favreau, but
yes, Favreau. But what's his name? Fucking who are you? Dave Filoni.
See, another Disney F. See?
Yeah. But then there was someone else before him that everybody was like kind of complaining about, but it's just like, why? But I think they gave it to Filoni as the head guy.
Okay.
But then Favreau is just the showrunner of... I say he's just the showrunner of Mandalorian, but I mean, he kind of helped bring it all to a head. Dave Filoni, Chief Creative Officer of Lucasfilm.
Okay.
That's what he is now. Okay. So yes, I think he did take over the job.
Okay. There's part of me that was under the impression that like he was handling the movie side and maybe, you know, somebody else was handling the TV show side, and I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Point is
Right.
Point is that he still could show up in one of those movies.
Sure.
I think one of the biggest reasons maybe that they haven't is Respawn might not want to canonize his lightsaber. You get so many different options as far as what you can make his lightsaber, what you can make his look, what you can make his gun. As soon as he shows up on screen, that becomes like the canon lightsaber or the canon color. And I don't know. That could be a stupid reason not to put him in something, but that might have something to do with it.
Oh, okay. I see where I was getting confused. Kathleen Kennedy is the head of Lucasfilm.
Okay.
And that's who everybody was complaining about. But it's like, again, why? And Dave Filoni reports directly to Kathleen Kennedy. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But we don't know a whole lot about this particular game or this particular story and where it's going to go. We just know that, you know, it is being worked on, which I've played both of the other games. I've been following the story. It's fantastic. Cal Kestis has quickly become my favorite Jedi and one of my favorite Star Wars characters in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to see where his story goes and where it ends.
Yeah, I'll be disappointed if they kill off the character.
Yeah, me as well, but I can think of worse endings. Like, I don't want him to just die. Like, I don't want them to just kill him off, but I can also think of worse endings.
Sure. I still need to play the second one.
Oh, yeah, you absolutely do. Speaking of which, just to tie it back to our affiliate, Level Up Sabers, they not long ago put Cal Kestis's crossguard saber on the site.
Nice.
And, oh man, my wallet weeps. I want it so bad. And don't get me wrong, it's fairly priced, especially with the, you know, the crossguard attachments and the fact that like they're all built into the electronics and everything. But it's more than I can currently justify to spend on a lightsaber, having already owning several lightsabers. But gosh, do I want it. Moving on, Sony's State of Play is something that happened this past week. And there were some announcements that I got excited about, and some that confused me. Par for the course for Sony, that, you know, they can put out some of the most awesome stuff and yet completely mishandle other properties. Is just what they're known for.
Yeah.
I have a list of the announcements here from Polygon.com, and I'll just kind of go down some of them, and we'll tell you what we think.
Sure, why not?
First up was Ghost of Yote, which is a sequel to Ghosts of Tsushima. Ghosts of Tsushima is too hard for me. It's another one of those Souls types games, but I gotta tell you, I mean, the trailer looks beautiful, and I know Ghost of Tsushima was a huge game, so I know there are tons of people who are pumped about this.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have Astrobot DLC. I don't understand some of the hate that Astrobot has been getting. It is like a Sony version of Mario Odyssey. I got it not that long ago and started playing it. I think it's fantastic. I think it's super fun, and giving me more of that game is just good news as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, you have your hardcore Sony gamers who don't want this kids game on their platform. And it's like, just don't fucking buy it. Like, it's a platform that supports lots of different types of games. Like, buy the games that you want to play.
Yeah. I honestly don't know anything about the game, so I mean, it's no loss to me. But there are games that I just can't stand, like any of the Souls games. I can't stand them.
Right.
I'm not going to beef on it. It's just I recognize that game is not for me.
These next two are ones that I personally don't understand. We have Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered and Lego Horizon Adventures. I've played the Horizon games. They're good games. Don't get me wrong, but they still look fantastic in their current state. I mean, they were created for PlayStation 5. I do not see the point of remastering them at this point.
Yeah, just cash grab.
Yeah, here's my thing, and I get that that's what it is. Sony has so many games that they could remaster that actually need a remaster that would get just as much, if not more money than Horizon.
You are correct.
And this just once again comes to the confusing way that Sony handles their properties. It's like, you could just do thing B instead of doing thing A, and you'd make so much more money and make so many more fans happy. And yet they continue to do thing A, and I just don't get it. The same thing with the Lego version of the game. Horizon is a very adult concept, and not saying that like adults don't play Lego games, and maybe this is how you can let your kid play the same game that you are without it being, you know, something you're concerned about them playing. I don't know. Once again, there are other properties that Sony owns that I think would make better Lego games, but here we are. Monster Hunter Wilds got a release date, which we knew this game was coming for a while, but now we know that it's coming out February 28th of next year. Monster Hunter's always had a big following. This one looks beautiful. It looks like it's going to have some new stuff to the series that we haven't seen before. I don't think this is, just another Monster Hunter. I think it's going to be a good game. We'll see when it comes out. I don't know if you've ever played Monster Hunter.
It's nothing has really appealed to me with Monster Hunter.
Sure. Next up, we got Dynasty Warriors Origins. I'll be honest, I forgot about Dynasty Warriors.
I fucking love Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad at all. I just forgot it was a thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I remember there was a time, I believe it was Dynasty Warriors 4? Maybe? I'm not sure. But I played it so much over the course of 3 days that I started seeing health bars above people's head.
Yeah, that's not healthy.
No.
Yeah, the franchise hasn't seen a release since 2018.
Sure.
And part of me hears, 2018, that's not that long ago, and then I realized that it's 2024, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty long for a video game. But next one's coming out January 17th, so Dynasty Warriors fans rejoice. Next one was the Midnight Walk. This is probably one of the ones that has me most interested. This one will be playable on PS5 and the PSVR, and the entire game has been rendered in claymation, and not just like computer generated claymation. Like, they actually took stills just like you would in standard claymation and took those animations and then put them into the game, giving it a very unique look.
Nice.
And this is the kind of innovation and art that I'm hoping to see continue in games, especially for a game that's not an indie game. It's the kind of risk you'd see indie game developers take, and a big publisher like Sony to just go, no thanks, we're not ready to take that big of a risk on like a big IP. But Sony's taking it. Sony's backing this one and taking that risk, and I love to see that. Once again, you see Sony do really cool shit, like back this claymation video game, looks like indie horror.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it baffles the mind.
Yeah.
Next up is Hell Is Us, which is another one that probably won't interest me very much. It looks like another Souls-like, just a little bit more of a modern setting. People have been calling it a mixture between Dark Souls and Helldivers. I don't see it, but there it is.
Whatever you guys got to do to convince yourself.
Next announcement, regardless of the lawsuit, Pal World is now being moved to the PS5. So it will no longer be a PC-only title, but will also be available on the PS5. Next up is Alan Wake 2, The Lake House, which is an Alan Wake 2 expansion. Alan Wake 2 got a lot of love when it came out. I want to say that was like last year. And this is the second DLC that it's getting. You got anything to say about Alan Wake?
Nah. Honestly, it's like,
Fair enough.
Whatever. Yeah.
Next up, Last of Us Part 1 is coming to PlayStation Plus. Don't get me wrong, Last of Us is a good game. It was a PlayStation 3 game, I believe, originally. And then eventually got remastered for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and now it's going to be available as a game that you can just kind of download for free on PlayStation Plus. I have a couple problems with this. Not saying that the game is a bad game. One, releasing it in parts is kind of weird. I feel like the entire series is old enough now that you could give it away for free on PlayStation Plus and it wouldn't be a big deal, and it would really get more subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sony releases games for free on PlayStation Plus every month, and some of them are really big titles, and they don't make as big a deal out of it as they did with the fact that they're releasing this PlayStation 3 game, Last of Us, on PlayStation Plus. I just think it gets more hype than it deserves. Fantastic game. I didn't see it, but I've heard the show is really good. I just think it's a bit overhyped as far as just being announced as a game you get for free on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's just it's too closed world for me, and I don't know. I don't want to say it's complicated, but it's just not enough freedom of movement in it, and it's
It is a very on-rails story experience.
Correct. I say having executive dysfunction and freaking out if I have too much choice, but, whatever.
Next up, we've got Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remastered. Now, here's a good move. You've taken one of the older games. I don't think this game was last seen on PlayStation 1. You take this, you remaster it. People love these games. You're going to have a whole new audience for these games. You're giving 1 and 2 in the first remaster, so people can play them both. Great move by Sony.
Yeah, stuff like this needs to be remastered.
They made an announcement for DLC for Stellar Blade. I don't get the hype around Stellar Blade, but they're adding some Nier Automata characters to it, and there's going to be a photo mode. The only thing I really know about Stellar Blade is that apparently a lot of really thirsty people play the game. I've heard it called softcore porn Dark Souls.
Weird. Okay.
I couldn't tell you. I haven't played it. I don't get the hype.
Me neither. Hey, but if you enjoy it. Have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not going to yuck your yum. Play the game if you like it. Next up is Lunar Remastered Collection. Once again, very old game. Very cult classic-y. A lot of people really like this. It'll find a new audience. These are the things that need to be remastered.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
They announced...
and this is a game that I would actually get behind, too. Because you know me and my love of these type of games. So.
Yes, absolutely. Did you play them when they were originally out, or would you be like a new audience for this?
I would be a new audience. You got to remember, as I am now, I was poor as a young lad.
Right.
And I didn't get a lot of games. I don't know if anybody, no one out there listening right now really knows Guildmaster Baron. But in his more recent years, I have dipped into a renaissance of gaming. I am gaming more video game-wise than I ever have. Because before, I would have one game and I would just play it because that's all I could get.
Sure.
Now it's like I have games. I can set one game aside and play another one for a little bit. And it not great for ADHD, mind you, but...
or maybe too good for ADHD.
Or too good. But I have never had access to this many games before. And having these games and also being able to get games for my son this is a renaissance to me. I still am catching up with a lot of the stuff that I haven't been able to play. So these remaster things are perfect because, they're coming at me in new graphics, better graphics. It's smoother and it's more accessible because I can, at least on this, get it on a PlayStation console. But a lot of it, you can get on Steam. So yeah, these remasters are pretty nice.
Especially when they give you the entire collection for the price of one game.
Correct.
Next up, we have DLC announced for TMNT Shredder's Revenge.
Now this, I'm excited for.
I knew you were going to get behind this one. We played this one for a little while. It's good. It's a good game, and it hits that arcade nostalgia very well. They're adding 2 new characters, Mona Lisa and Mondo Gecko.
Which, come on, man. I fucking loved Mondo Gecko.
Look, I am not saying anything bad against these characters. I love that they've added these 2 characters. But if you sat me down and were like...
Well, hold on. Okay, no, go ahead. I kind of wanted to guess, but go ahead.
Okay. If you sat me down and told me to guess the next DLC characters for TMNT Shredder's Revenge, you could give me 20 guesses and I still wouldn't have hit these 2 characters.
I would have totally guessed Mondo Gecko, mostly because I've been kind of expecting it for a while.
Okay.
Now, you know what I would not have guessed? Usagi Yojimbo.
See, he would have been high on my list.
I would have not have guessed him because he is a character from a comic book from another company that they just happened to cross over. Which, if you get a chance, anybody out there, go find some of those old Usagi Yojimbo comics. They're great. They're great.
Great story. Great art.
Yep.
I'm going to skip past most of these and just hit one more in the announcement. Not to say that there isn't anything good in here. It's just these are the less popular ones. If there's something here that you want us to cover and we didn't, just let us know. But the last one I will hit is they talked about Dragon Age The Veilguard and gave us a trailer for it. And it will be out October 31st. I've been a big fan of the Dragon Age series for a long time. The announcement trailer for this had me kind of on the fence. With this new trailer, I think I'm back on board. The biggest reason I want to talk about this is all the butthurt dude bros on Twitter right now.
Why do we have I mean, I think the butthurt dude bros are just they're just used to being butthurt at this point. But why are they butthurt?
But like, I can still enjoy it. And the biggest reason they're butthurt is like there's an early release of this game, for reviews, and they're showing off the character creator, and they are mad at the fact that you can make a fat black woman, which I don't even think that this character could. I can't even call this character model plus size personally, but they're mad because she's got a little bit of chub. And they're like, you can't have a woman like that be an adventurer. It doesn't make sense. And I just see more options to create a character that you can identify with.
Have they not seen Thor from the God of War games?
But Thor's a white man.
Oh, yeah.
So you can't be angry at that.
You're right.
This one is because you can give that body type to a woman of color. And that's why they're upset.
Oh, my gosh.
And of course, they'll never admit that, but let's be real. Because if they were just upset about overweight characters, which already would be bad enough, then they would be upset over Thor. But they're not, because Thor is a white man. So I'll just enjoy the fact that they're mad. And the fact that, they're not going to, that the developers aren't going to do anything about it. And they're just going to continue to let them be mad, which is fantastic.
Yeah, die angry.
A couple other things I want to hit before we wrap this thing up. We got the first trailer for Thunderbolts Asterix. What do you think the Asterix is all about?
I wish I knew. I think that the Asterix is going to be some kind of in-movie reference that they're making. Whether that be, maybe they see something on a document somewhere, or it is quite literally saying that this name is just a placeholder, and maybe they're insinuating that they're going to become something like the Dark Avengers, or something along those lines, and they're just the Thunderbolts because Thunderbolt Ross was trying to put together an Avengers, or I don't know. I though think that it's a play on replacement.
Sure. I don't like all the people who are calling it Marvel Suicide Squad.
Okay.
I think it's going to be way better than Suicide Squad ever was.
I mean, Suicide Squad 2 was pretty fucking amazing.
It was. Still, I think people are not giving this movie its due. I think it's actually going to be, when it comes to defense of good Marvel movies and not so good Marvel movies, I do think this was going to be on the good side, and that could be just me being extra optimistic, but I think it's going to get there, especially after seeing this trailer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little indifferent. I mean, they've got a couple characters in there I enjoy, a couple characters that are kind of meh. I'm not sure how they're going to handle the whole Sentry thing. I was never really a big Sentry fan. And I really think that they mismanaged Taskmaster, but I'm really hoping that they redeem the character a little bit.
Yeah.
Really, if you really, really look at what's going on, they haven't given us a lot.
Sure.
At all. So it's hard to really base an opinion on anything.
And I think that's really intentional. I think that we're back to the era of Marvel not showing everything and letting us be surprised when we go to the movie theater, and I'm okay with that. And the very last thing, I don't know if it was last episode or a couple episodes ago, but you were directing our viewers to itch viewers. You were directing our listeners to itch.io for TTRPGs. And I would like to do that again because there is currently a bundle that you can get for just $10 and has over 300 games in it. Tabletop RPGs you can get for that $10.
Now, I would like to point out too, it is just $10, but if you have it, by all means, donate more.
Yes, because the proceeds are going to a foundation which is creating more TTRPGs specifically aimed for accessible gaming, which is a fantastic cause. To be a little bit more specific, reading this off of Polygon, all proceeds from this bundle will benefit the Dots RPG Project, a non-profit foundation that works to produce more accessible gaming aids like rulebooks, HP markers, and dice. Polygon was also kind enough to show some of the real highlights of the bundle, like Glitter Hearts.
That's a big one right there.
Glitter Hearts is $15 on its own. Yep. So to get it as part of this $10 bundle, you're already getting 30% off of Glitter Hearts, even if you're just getting it for that. Under the Neighborhood, which I personally hadn't heard of this one, but after reading a little bit about it, I was like, this is for Guildmaster Baron. It's very Gravity Falls coded, and it's powered by the Apocalypse. So,
yeah, I think we've talked about me wanting to put together like a Craig of the Creek. I can't remember exactly which one it is. Kind of TTRPG, but this one looks like it could, scratch that itch.
Yeah, it could definitely. You could fill that right in. And then a couple of other ones they point out, just because these are all ones that are expensive enough to cover the cost of the bundle on their own.
Yeah, I will point out too that the ones that they pointed out are cool, but man, if I was putting together a list of highlights of this thing, I would have had so many fucking things in this. It's crazy.
Which maybe you'll get to see some of our highlights if you check out our Discord.
Oh yeah.
There's also Morn, which is like a retro FPS TTRPG. So if you like Wolfenstein or Duke Nukem or Doom, it's that, but a TTRPG. That would normally be $10 on its own. And then there's Bump in the Dark, which is very Twilight Zone, Monster of the Week-ish, X-Files kind of thing. And that's normally $25 on its own. So once again, to get it as part of this $10 bundle is fantastic.
And at the time of this recording, you got 25 days. So by the time you hear this, hopefully, if you listen to it as soon as it comes out, you have time. You have time to get in there. You have time to check this out. And there's a lot of really cool stuff in here.
Which I would like to point out, if you're listening to this and going, oh, I'll go check that out. The only reason we are talking about this right now is because there is that much time. We find stuff like this all the time and don't talk about it on the podcast because it's like, oh, this deal's going to end in 5 days and we're going to record it and then it's only going to have 4 days and then it'll come out and there's only going to be 1 day left. So we don't talk about it. But we do post it in our Discord under Geeky Deals. So come join us on the Discord and find out about these deals, even when you don't have a ton of time. And with that, I think we're going to wrap this episode up. Email us at castersguild@gmail.com. Tell us about how all our political opinions are wrong. Join us on the Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening. And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.
TTFN.
See ya. Oh.
Ta-ta for now.